Hey everyone, just want to give a quick update on the Bank of Canada. They had a policy announcement this morning, and as expected, they raised rates 50 basis points as they continue to address the higher inflation. So last month, inflation came in at 6.8%. This coming month, expectations are it's going to be at least 7%, if not higher. Now, this continues to be a huge issue they have to address. The next policy meeting will be July 13th, and given the tone of the statement today, right now, at this current moment, 50 basis points seems like a fair call. However, it can range between 25 and 50 depending on how the data and how everything stacks up going forward. Now, there were a few things that they highlighted in the statement today. On the inflation front, they talked about it being more broad-based. So they said about 70% of the basket of goods is averaging only over 3% growth. So it's not just concentrated in the big three of housing, energy, and food prices, but more broad-based, which is why it's becoming more of an issue. So they did talk about the risk of elevated inflation becoming entrenched has risen. So previously, they've always talked about it being transitory, which means temporary. It'll pass through, it'll correct itself, it's not really an issue. Now they're sort of acknowledging that, okay, maybe it's not transitory, maybe it's here to stay, so we really have to address this, which is why, in my view, they'll continue to be fairly aggressive. Now, they did talk about some of the downside risk with the global economy slowing. So obviously, as we're seeing now in Europe, US, and even here in Canada, with our weaker GDP numbers yesterday, globally, the world is slowing in terms of their speed of growth. Now, the more important thing for the bank is to continue to address this higher inflation, which they have to continue to be aggressive. So now we've seen two 50 basis point rate hikes with the 25 initially. So they've already increased by 125 basis points. The next meeting will be July 13th. If they go another 50, that'll be 175 basis points in hikes over 4 meetings. It'll take our overnight rate to 2%. Now, there's no meeting in August, and the following one is September 7th. So in my view, it kind of makes sense where they go 50 basis points next one, they pause throughout August because obviously there's no meeting, and by then you sort of give a little bit of time to let these rate hikes sort of filter through the economy. By then, you might have more easing of supply chain issues from China as they move out of lockdowns from COVID. And obviously, you have more time for the Russia-Ukraine war to sort of maybe hopefully end by then. So there's a lot of other factors that may also be positive in reducing inflation. So the bank doesn't necessarily have to continue to raise rates as the only tool. So that's sort of where we stand right now. Obviously, from now until July 13th, we'll continue to track the data and see how this plays out. Now, in the housing market, they did do their one-liner as usual. Housing market activity is moderating from exceptionally high levels. As we're seeing now, obviously over the last month, we've seen prices sort of continue to weaken in the housing market, particularly in the detached market, but we are seeing it a slight shift in the market. Now, going forward, obviously, as rates continue to increase, the demand side of the housing sector should continue to slow to a certain extent, which will put some downward pressure on prices. As always, happy to answer any questions you guys may have. Any comments, feedback, please let me know. And until next time, enjoy your day.